Good morning, class. Hope all of you enjoyed your day off yesterday as a day of prayer. Maybe spent some time with your family, right? Or joined in on any of the prayer opportunities that Kellenberg's offered, over the live stream network on the Kellenberg website. Okay, if you didn't, all right, maybe just relaxed, all right, which is fine as well. All right, because I understand you guys have been working pretty hard in your other classes and this class as well. A few things before we begin with our notes where we left off on Tuesday. I would ask that you remember to complete that Chapter 9, Section 1, 2, and 3 assignment that's in Schoology. I signed it back on Tuesday. All right, it is due tomorrow by the start of class, and that assignment is going to count as 2 quiz grades. Okay, and make sure you submit that. Okay, please don't forget, I'm not going to accept an email. All right, you guys should know as 8th graders, all right, how to submit that back to Schoology. If you have any trouble, email me, or I can give you some direction from there. Alrighty, so if you can take out your notes where we left off on Tuesday, all right, we're going to pick up with talking about very briefly on how people started to ration and conserve many needed resources for the war that the United States was now involved in, World War II. Okay, and this is just a newspaper ad on how to shop. All right, with war ration. All right, basically they used a system of coupons. Okay, and there were certain items that were rationed on some days, certain items that were not rationed. Okay, very similar to how, even in grocery stores today, you see signs up saying, please only take 2 in regards to like pastas or certain meats or canned goods, or because people are afraid that, everything's going to be totally shut down. So people are certainly rationing with kind of what we're going through in society today. All right. We are up to how women started to help in different industries, which were a major part of the war effort at home. And with millions of men in uniform fighting overseas in the Pacific or in Europe, women are going to be called, all right, to these defense factories as a new source of labor. And the government started a large-scale effort to recruit women, all right, into certain industrial work that they would never be offered once again. And this is very similar to how in World War II, women were working in factories as welders. All right, they were working to operate huge machinery such as cranes. All right, they tended blast furnaces. Some became bus drivers, police officers, gas station attendants, a number of different jobs. Okay, they worked in shipyards. Okay, and millions of women took over jobs, and a lot of these women, right, became a big part of the war effort. And a fictional character, Rosie the Riveter, all right, who was on that the first slide of section 3. All right, you can see like a little ad, Rosie the Riveter, who was basically a popular symbol of the working women throughout World War II. So if you ever see that symbol of Rosie the Riveter, okay, she symbolizes all of the women that helped the war effort back at home, working in factories, serving as police officers, bus drivers, gas station attendants, and so forth. All right, and Congress, all right, agreed that women were needed in industry, and therefore women were able to gain better pay and working conditions. So they would get the same pay for their job. All right, you start to see some more equality between men and women within our society. War work gave many American women a new sense of confidence and independence. All right, it allowed them that if they could learn to weld like a man or, operate machineries like a man, they felt as if they could do anything, all right, to make a living and support their lifestyles. Okay, so you have men and women get paid the same wages. Now, there were still some jobs that found ways to avoid equal pay. All right, not allowing women to get to certain high positions within a factory. Okay, but this was a major turning point for women, specifically in the workforce and industries and in factories, as a result of the World War II effort at home. Okay. At the start of the war, all right, so moving on, Japanese Americans faced a great ordeal. Okay, about 300,000 people of Japanese origin lived in the United States at the start of World War II. More than half of them resided in Hawaii. Hawaii, still today, is a very popular place where Japanese Americans live. Okay, and the rest of them, at the start of World War II, lived mostly on the West Coast, especially in California. And after the attack on Pearl Harbor, there is a great sense of fear. All right, that the Japanese Americans were potential spies to help enemy submarines shell military bases or even coastal cities. In truth, such suspicions were baseless. Right, there was not a single documented case of disloyalty by a Japanese American. All right, even still to this day, there's no single documented case of disloyalty. All right, but there is a great fear, much like how after 9/11, and there's a great fear in the country that Muslims were a threat to Americans. They were out of fear terrorists. Okay, and a lot of people were very suspicious of them. All right, same thing for the Japanese after the attack on Pearl Harbor. And the intense anti-Japanese fears are going to be led by FDR in his Executive Order 9066, and you need to know this executive order. Okay, in which FDR, all right, it's an internment, all right, or this is a key term you're going to need to know. I'll type it up here so you have it. All right, is temporarily. Okay, so FDR is going to issue the temporarily imprisonment of about 110,000 Japanese Americans for the duration of World War II, however long it lasts. And these internees were allowed to bring with them only with what they could carry. All right, they had to sell their house. They had to, resign from their job, and at a fraction of their worth, they really gave up most of their belongings, and they're brought, all right, from the West Coast to small, remote intern camps enclosed by barbed wire, so they can't, escaping would be difficult. And armed American soldiers would look down on them, all right, to make sure that there was no suspicious activity or they're looking to escape. And even the Supreme Court got involved with this executive order, in which the Supreme Court ruled that military necessity justified the internment of these Japanese Americans. There were 3 of the 9 justices that did not agree with that. All right, but unfortunately for these Japanese Americans, that was not the majority. Okay, and as the war came to an end, eventually the government released the surviving prisoners in 1948. Okay, the government then made a small payment to them for the property that they had to sell and give up, and a formal apology to these Japanese Americans did not come until 1990. Okay, and these surviving prisoners at that time in 1990 were paid $20,000. So most of these surviving prisoners never saw that money, okay, and were never, apologized to by the United States government. All right, now 4 Japanese Americans being imprisoned was such a huge, uncertain charge. It was humiliating for many of them. But still, about 17,000 Japanese Americans showed loyalty by joining the armed forces. Okay, all Japanese units fought in North Africa, Italy, and France. Okay, they really kind of stayed away from the Pacific front of World War II for Americans. And one group of Japanese Americans, the 442nd a Nicey Regiment combat team became one of the most highly decorated military unit in U.S. history. All right, and that was an all-Japanese American unit. All right, you need to know that. All right, and they were kind of given credit for a lot of their successes in North Africa and in parts of Italy. All right, I'll give you a second to copy this down. Okay, and this is the last slide for section 3, so you have all the notes to complete the assignment. All right, that is due on due at the start of class tomorrow. All right, section 4. All right, we will start when we conference together tomorrow. All right, so if you can, if you want to watch the video again, all right, to get any notes you missed, all right, that's fine. All right, we'll start section 4, how we work towards victory tomorrow. All right, make sure you complete that assignment if you haven't done that already. All right, thank you. I hope all of you have a great day.